Today on the Leading Life podcast, you're going to learn how to adapt to unexpected situations. Right, Brennan?
Right. Welcome to Leading Life, the show all about living to the fullest and leading life on your terms.
You will learn tips, tools, and strategies for achieving total personal transformation.
I'm Bren.
And I'm Cam.
This is Leading Life.
What up? Welcome back to Leading Life. I hope you guys watched the episode yesterday because it was absolutely amazing. We had our brother Utam in from UK talking about the law of attraction. That guy is a genius, and if you haven't listened to that episode, go check it out right now. Like, turn this off and go check out the law of attraction because it's amazing. All right, bro, how have you been in the last 24 hours?
The last 24 hours, man, I've been pretty good. Like I said yesterday, I've been mainly focused on music. I've been mainly focused on my record, trying to get some of the mixes done because I'm going to be releasing that very soon. Honestly, I've been procrastinating on releasing that for so long just because I have so many other projects going on. It just hasn't seemed important to me until recently. And so now it's time to get that record going. It's time to get writing. I've been writing a lot. Yeah, just that kind of stuff, creating essentially. What have you been up to, bro?
Totally, that's awesome, man. I have been up to a lot of plotting and planning because December is going to be a big month for us, right? We got big announcements coming in January. So wait up for the big announcement, guys. But yeah, I've just been like planning and plotting and making sure I have everything together, everything ready. And I've also been working on music too, so I'm really excited for just everything. Life, today's topic, it's going to be great.
100%, bro. 100%. What is today's topic, Cam?
Oh, I wonder. No, today's topic is how to adapt to unexpected situations. So the reason we want to talk about this is because so many people out there, things come at them and they don't know how to deal with it. And obviously default is to focus on the negative because I guess that's just how we are. Like when you wake up, you don't consciously think about what you're grateful for unless you've been doing it for a long time. Usually for most people, they reach for their phone and they ask the world, why am I so tired right now? Why are my eyes crusty and why can't I go back to sleep? Like, let's just curl back up in a ball. But really, we want to show you guys how you can adapt to those things. And obviously the unexpected situations too, like a family member passing, or you getting sick, or you stubbing your toe, or you falling off your bicycle, you getting in a car accident, whatever it is. We want you to not dwell on that and know exactly how to deal with it because that gives you peace of mind. I'll tell you, like, for me, when I wake up and I go about my day, I'm not worried about anything. Like, if I get sick, I understand, like, that, like, I don't worry about anything. I don't worry about falling off my bicycle. I don't worry about family member dying because I understand that, like, things happen. Like there's a lot of stuff happening out there that we don't have control over. We can't control the weather. We can't control so many things. And we basically want to help you guys understand that you can be extremely happy no matter what happens outside of your mind. What do you think about that, bro?
Yeah, totally, man. Like the way I see it is this is for people, whether, it's about unexpected situations, and we live in today's society. Unexpected situations pop up out of nowhere all the time. So, whether you're in a situation where you just feel like you have no control whatsoever and things just keep happening and you got your hands full and you don't know what to do about it. So whether you're in that situation or you're in this situation where you actually feel like stuff happens and you've got control and you've got choice. And really what today is about, what we really want to offer you is we want to offer you some time between when something happens and how you react to it. That's really what this episode is about. Is what happens is so many things, unexpected things happen in our environment and they trigger us to go into certain states. They trigger us to do certain things, think certain things, feel certain things. And what today's going to be about is offering you space between something happening and then your reaction to what has just happened. And so I want to tell you right off the bat, like this is something I struggle with on a daily basis. I still struggle with. Me and Cameron, just before we got on this podcast, we were bickering a little bit, right? And it was just like, Cameron. So yeah, like this is not something that I'm 100% perfect on. And I don't think anybody really is. I think this is something that you learn throughout life. Especially as you get older, the older you get, more things are going to happen, the more experiences you have in life. and you have no choice but to learn how to deal with it. You have no choice but to learn how you're going to choose to react to that situation. Um, and my expertise in this area is really, I've been able to create space there. I mean, I remember, and Cameron will tell you too, I've always, not always, but growing up, I've it's been tough for me to react in a calm manner. Like, I'm a high energy guy, and sometimes that used to lead to a lot of anger and a lot of frustration and a lot of kind of high energy emotions where I'm just like, oh, I'm hyper, I'm ready to go, right? And so when unexpected things would happen, like I stubbed my toe unexpectedly, or I was supposed to go for a ride, a skateboard ride or a walk or something, it starts pouring rain on me, unexpected situation. I used to right off the bat automatically get super upset or get anger or get frustrated and just be like, I can't believe this is happening. What do I do about this? But I've been able to create some space through certain habits that I've created, through certain beliefs that I've been able to adopt. I've been able to create space between what happens and how I react to what happens, which has drastically improved my life. And it makes me feel a lot more like cool, a lot more calm, a lot more collected, rather than just automatically going off anytime something happens and lashing out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. I think where we could start is kind of reverse engineering and see what we do to make ourselves feel awful about something or feel out of control about something. So something happens. I mean, what's a good example here, Brennan? Like, what's a good analogy we can use?
Everybody, I think traffic is a great example, or like stubbing your toe, or like you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, or somebody, doesn't stop at a stop sign, or somebody does something, and you automatically go into, wow, what is that all about? So we could use that. That's a great example, I think.
Yeah, totally. Like getting cut off in traffic, spilling something on yourself, spilling milk. Like I remember as a kid, man, I'd tear up when I spilled my milk. What else? All kinds of things, man. You drop your phone and there's a little crack in your screen and like your stomach drops because there's no going back, and you're just like, well, damn, that's going to be quite the repair job. You know what I mean? It's expensive to fix your phone screen. So little things like that, man, it happens. And most of the time we ask ourselves, why did this happen? Why did I have to go through this? Like, why me? Why did this happen? Why today? Like I would actually hear my mom out loud, like years ago. She's not, like, she's all happy now, but years ago, like, something would happen, she'd like spill her dinner, like she'd burn herself, she'd be like, well, why today? Seriously, why today? This is the worst, this is the worst Christmas ever, this is the worst Father's Day, Mother's Day ever, this is the worst Thanksgiving we've ever had, like, blah blah blah. And just realize, like, right away when that stuff happens, you instantly go into default mode, like, oh, why me? Why did this happen? You're asking yourself the wrong question. For me, it's become a habit to straight up just say, like, not even ask, like, I don't consciously say this in my mind, but I automatically go there and I think about what's good about this. What can I learn from this instantly? It's because I've been doing this consistently for 2 years, but just try to ask yourself that. What can you learn from this? What can you learn from dropping your phone? Because here's the thing. The way I think about it is, I'm riding on the skateboard for the first time, and I'm really only ever going to make that mistake once in my life. Like, how many times am I actually going to fall off my skateboard? If it's, no. I actually have a way better analogy for this. Are you ready? Are you ready, Brennan?
I'm ready, buddy.
Okay, so you're building a 100-piece, 1,000-piece puzzle. You put two pieces together and they don't work. I don't think many people would, like, freak out, push the table, flip the table over, and, like, go cry about it. No, they realize, all right, these two pieces don't work. I'm going to put this piece on this side of the table and this piece on that side of the table, and I'm never going to try to put them back together ever again. I'm not going to make that mistake again. If I do, I don't think I'm going to make it more than once. I'm not going to make that mistake more than once. That's how you got to think about falling off your bicycle, getting cut off in traffic, or... no, this is for a certain type of problem. This is for problems that you cause. This is for when you drop your phone, you spill your dinner, you stub your toe, you hit your head because you're tall and you can't fit through doorways. When you make that mistake, don't make it more than once. Put the one puzzle piece on this side and the other on that side, and don't try to put them together again because they don't work. So, translation, duck. Like, I've learned to, when I'm in a basement, I hunch over automatically. I haven't hit my head in years. Learn to like look down and make sure you're holding your plate with two hands, and you're like you've got it with your life, man, so that you don't drop your spaghetti all over the place. What else? Don't touch hot things, like little things like that. Like when you realize that these two puzzle pieces don't work, just separate them, put them on separate ends of the table, make sure they don't come back to each other, and don't make that mistake again. Even if you do make that mistake again, you will easily learn from it twice. So you fall off your, it's almost like skating, if there's any skaters out there. If you make one mistake on a skateboard, like you put your foot the wrong angle or whatever, you're never going to make that mistake again, because it freaks the hell out of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I accidentally turned so fast that the back of my board came like swinging to the front, and I fell and I hurt myself. I hit my face. After that, I never made that mistake again in my life, and that was years ago. Little things like that, and that's an unexpected situation that you've caused, right? So what else do you have to say about that, Brennan?
You make a good point there, man. There's two kinds of unexpected situations, or there could be more, but I'm thinking of two particularly. And the first unexpected situation is something that you somehow caused. Like you said, you somehow made a mistake and dropped your plate, or you spilled something, or you stubbed your toe, or you hit your face on a door. Something Shelby has been through today. But the other situation is something somebody else does, and then we create an interpretation. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into more our own mistakes and our own doing and how to deal with those unexpected situations. And then we could kind of touch on what happens when other people do stuff, and then we create our own expectation or whatever based on that. So
yeah,
I love what you said, man, about not making the mistake twice. Mm-hmm. That's huge, man, because so many people, it's that definition of insanity, right? You do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a new, different result. It just doesn't work. That's why they call you insane. But it's really interesting because we, as human beings, it's crazy how often we actually do make the same mistake over and over again. And we kind of get caught in patterns, or we get caught in certain things. Like, for example, I've got this, when I was a kid, man, I don't know why. It was weird. I was in like grade 4, grade 5, and I would always wake up in the morning, drowsy as I could possibly be, and walk down the stairs to go grab some clothes out of the laundry room and fall down the stairs. And I'd fall down the stairs like 2 times a week. And this happened to me for like a couple months. I just kept falling down the stairs, and I figured, man, eventually, how am I going to not fall down the stairs for once? And I just remember in particular, like I used to go to school and tell the kids at school about the story, and like we used to laugh about it, like, oh yeah, I'm so silly, I just keep falling down the stairs. What an idiot. And I think one of the reasons that I kept repeating that behavior, one of them was because it just became a habit. It became unconscious, especially, I just woke up and now I'm doing this thing. I'm just going through the motions, and then I keep repeating the same process. And I think the second thing was I got some sort of reward out of it almost, like every time I fall down the stairs, I'd be like, oh, this is hilarious. I can't wait to go to school and tell my friends about how dumb I am, or how stupid this mistake I made was. So what happens, I think what makes this really repeated behavior is a reward, having some sort of thing that keeps us going, having like some sort of payoff for whatever it does. And sometimes we make a mistake. For example, you spill something, there's like hot coffee on you, and there is no payoff for spilling hot coffee on you. There just isn't. You're not going to want to repeat that again. So I like that. I like what you said there about not repeating the same mistake twice. How do you think we could like put this into a kind of an action step for people so that they don't make the same mistake twice?
I'd have to say you've got to like not focus on it, but like almost expect the worst. If that's not like I don't mean that pessimistically or in a pessimistic sense. I just mean like expect this thing to happen, or expect what's going to happen when it happens. It's hard to explain. It's like you're skateboarding, and to not make that mistake twice, look down and see if there's a rock in front of you. Like look down every now and then so you don't get hit by a car. Look both sides, little things like that. Just make sure that look for the door. All right, Shelby, like make sure you don't hit the door. Like expect the door to be there because it will be there. All right, expect the coffee to be hot because it will be hot. Expect the stairs to be steep and slippery because they will be. And when you expect that, you might naturally just do something to avoid that.
That's an interesting point, man, because like it's funny how the way things work. If we stub our toe, that just plain sucks. We know it's a mistake. We're not going to do that again. We hit our face on the door. We're not going to do that again. That sucks. But what happens in situations where we continuously eat food that doesn't serve us, that makes us feel like crap, and then like for example, I used to drink a lot of coffee, like a lot of coffee, guys, like 5 cups a day, and there just come a point where I realized that coffee was like making me feel bad. It was making me feel really tired about an hour or two after I drank the coffee. It made my breath stink really, really bad. And my friends would tell me, like, they'd make sure I knew my breath smelled really, really bad. What else? I had stomach pains a lot. I had issues in the bathroom, in the washroom, like stuff I probably shouldn't tell you guys about. And it was interesting for me because it's like, I knew this was a mistake. I wasn't feeling good. It was hurting me. All these things. It's like, I knew this wasn't a good thing to do, but I just kept doing it. That's what I'm trying to get at, is like, how do we help people break out of that pattern of just repeating and over like a bad behavior? Sometimes it's like watching copious amounts of Netflix or surfing through social media all day.
You know, it's another good example, Brennan, that I think is close to home for you, is you get together with your friends on a weekend. You go into the basement, you open up that bottle of liquor, and you just chug it down because you're so cool and you could chug it down without, even stopping or whatever. And then a few hours later, you puke everywhere, your friends laugh at you, and then you wake up the next day like feeling awful, but you do it again 7 days later. Why?
See, that's the thing. It's a mistake, but your brain, we kind of have perceptions about things, right? Like, you could be drinking alcohol. Everybody knows alcohol is going to kill you. I mean, a lot of people just don't know the extent to how much it actually does kill you and how quickly and how severely it actually kills you. But it's bad. Like, it's bad. We all know it's a mistake. But for some reason, like myself personally, I spent years binge drinking continuously, puking my guts out, feeling like crap, making an ass of myself, everybody laughing at me. Yet I still kept doing it for years and years and years. And it really makes you wonder, like, this is a mistake. This behavior is messing with you and it's not serving you whatsoever. It's not making your life better. It's definitely making it worse. But we keep on repeating that mistake. And I think it's what I alluded to earlier. Really, it's you get a small reward. Like, that's a big mistake, but you get a small reward. Literally, like, what's the small reward? Okay, you drink the alcohol, you get drunk, and then all of a sudden you let loose and you tell all your secrets and you let all that stuff that you had on your chest, all that stuff that was bubbling up inside, you just let it all out. You tell your friends how much you love them, or you tell them how much you hate them. I don't know what the situation is for you. But for me, that was the payoff, man. Like, I absolutely, when I was drinking, I haven't had even a sip of alcohol in over a year. But when I was an alcoholic, when I was binge drinking on a regular basis, one of the main things that I loved about it was I could get super drunk and then be super truthful. I could get super drunk and I could say or do things or bring topics up that I wouldn't even dare to while I was sober, because I just didn't have that kind of confidence, or I didn't really believe in myself quite enough. I don't know what it was exactly, but what I'm saying here is I was getting a small reward based off of a big mistake. Now, what happens when we stop doing that behavior? What happens when we finally say, like, this is a mistake, this is not good, I'm not going to do this anymore, that is terrible? What happens is that reward starts to become, you lose the reward, first of all, and then you get really clear on what the mistake really is. You get really clear on the pain. Like, for me to quit drinking alcohol, I had to really think about all the times in my life that drinking alcohol made me feel like I was less than I really am. For example, I'd get super drunk and then get in an argument with someone I love. I'd get super drunk and just like say things or hurt people or make decisions, do things that were not really who I was, as much as they were just what I was kind of doing in that moment. And so, like, I had to really realize that the way I had been acting, what I had been doing with my life was like complete bullshit. and it was terrible. And then I had to quit. Not to mention I wasn't getting that little reward anymore. Sometimes the biggest mistake can become a habit as long as we have a little reward, a little bit of payoff, a little bit of good that's coming from the bad, right? And you see this in a that's the negative sense, but you see this in a positive sense too, where it's like people, entrepreneurs, for example, entrepreneurs who work day in and day out, they work hours and hours and hours on a business or something that they love to do, or they work on something, and they don't necessarily see a payoff until way later because they don't get the reward until later on, right? And it happens all the time. Do you know what I'm talking about, Cam?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And another thing is the reward for you with the alcohol was just like getting out of pain, right? Was escaping insecurity, escaping maybe even depression, escaping boredom. You were going to a place where you're totally in the moment. You know what I mean? Like when you're drunk with your friends, you're there. Like you're not in your head. You're kind of everything in your head is being spilled out, and yeah, you're escaping pain. So that's how to overcome like a bad habit. Question
Yeah, well,
mark?
it's the question mark. Yeah, it goes into overcoming a bad habit, and that's when unexpected situations or habits or whatever mistakes that you make become a habit. So that's kind of, we talked about what happens when you're making a mistake or some sort of unexpected situation comes up and then you react a certain way. How do you deal with that? I also want to talk about what happens on the other side of things when like somebody says something unexpected or does something unexpected, or you're driving and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you react to that? How do you react to what other people are doing or the people around you are doing? And how does that feel within you?
I think a lot of it has to do with presence, because when something happens out of your control, like you're headed to a concert or you're headed to work or you're headed to a date or whatever it is, and the traffic is just insane and you end up being like a half hour late. You miss the first few songs. Person thinks you stood them up and you're late for work and you get in trouble or whatever. Most people, their entire day is based on that. Like they're not really present. They're stuck in the morning. Even if it's 2 p.m., they're stuck reliving that thing that happened in the morning, just dwelling on it, saying, why did that happen? Like, this is awful. My day is ruined. My week is ruined, whatever. And I think what people need to do is be a little bit more in the moment and just let go. Like your song, Let Go, man. Like, is that about letting go of past experiences, things that you dwell on, people that you're angry at? Like, I'll tell you right now, something that blew my mind not long ago was when I realized that I don't hate anybody. Like, I have no negative attitude towards anybody. It doesn't matter how awful the person is. I have no negative attitude. Sure, like I don't have to like them, but at the end of the day, what's in my mind, I'm in control of. And there's this meditation that one of the phases is forgiveness, like putting somebody that you hate in front of you and forgiving them and asking them to forgive you and just kind of making amends and making friends and like kind of releasing that negative charge you have with them. And I realized a couple months into this meditation that I kept doing daily, I realized I don't have any negative attitude towards this person. Like it's not there. And I had to literally edit the meditation to take that phase out because I was done with it. Like I don't need it anymore because I hated no one. Mm-hmm. Like because I realized, right, there's no reward. If that's a bad habit, hating people, there's no reward there. Like I'm not getting rewarded, and my brain finally clicked there and I stopped hating people. And so a lot of people, they hate their past experiences too. Like they hate the fact that someone died, someone close passed away. Like there's nothing you can do. Like there's no going back in time. There's no time machine that we know of. So you have the choice. What was our quote today? We had an awesome quote. What others do to you is their karma, and how you perceive it, how you
react is yours.
How you react to it is your karma. Exactly. And that was a Wayne Dyer quote. Guy is a genius. Yeah. And that makes total sense because other people can do things to you. Life can do things to you. You could get cancer. You can get whatever. But at the end of the day, 3 words that Hal Elrod blew my mind with, which is so simple. I can't change it. Like you can't change it. Like there's no going back. And with that perspective, like there was even people in Nazi concentration camps, right? The guy Viktor Frankl wrote a book about it, and he talked about how the people who survived had a really they had a will to live. They had a reason to get out because they found purpose in their pain, in their suffering. They found a purpose because they realized, dude, like there's no getting out of this. I might as well not cry about it. Let's do something about it. Let's make this meaningful rather than just go through it for nothing. Almost like the fact that I started caring about my sleep, like really focusing on the quality of my sleep, because I realized you sleep 24 years in your lifetime. There's nothing you can change about it. You sleep 24 years on average. So you might as well make it good. You might as well not cry about it, not cry like, oh no, 24 years of my life wasted. No, man, make that good so that the waking years of your life matter the most.
Yeah, man. You so many things you said there. I gotta like backtrack to what you said. Yeah, the first thing you mentioned was like my song Let Go, and you talked about how you kind of have to just let go of what people are saying. And it's interesting, when I wrote that song, it kind of took on a different meaning as I began to sing it, as the years went by. And it's, the verses say, I don't know what I'm facing, but I know what I'm chasing. Basically just saying, things are going to happen. Unexpected situations are going to come up. You don't know what you're facing. You don't know. Tomorrow is going to be a new day. The next day, you have no idea what you're facing, but you got to know what you're chasing. You got to know what you're after. And that first line, that's the first line of the song. And that's the line that means the most to me, because I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is I'm going to live happily. I'm going to live in a beautiful state. I'm going to live with love. And that's really what that song's about. And the chorus talks about how it basically says, all my life I've tried to make the best of it, and all that said, I don't want to let go. And it's saying I don't want to let go, but implying that you absolutely have to, implying that even though you don't want to let go of your life or your comfort or whatever situation that you're in, you have to let go. Things are going to change. Unexpected situations are going to pop up. You can't just live in your bubble. You can't just live in your comfort zone for your entire life. You have to let go. You have to get out of that. And I love that Wayne Dyer quote, because it talks about how you react to life. That was one of the biggest changes in my life, was realizing that things are going to happen, but none of it actually makes me feel anything. Like, Cameron, you could slap me in the face right now, and I'm the one who decides whether or not you did that in a loving way, a hateful way, a funny way. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Absolutely, dude, because you can do something to help somebody, like out of love. Like, dude, I love you. I have to slap you in the face to get you to understand your situation or whatever. But you can just be like, this guy hates me.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
So I totally get that.
So when it comes to adapting to unexpected situations, you have to realize, first off, that the outside world doesn't make you, it literally cannot make you feel any kind of emotion. That emotion comes from within, right? Like if I were to tell you right now, I love you, it's not that my words are coming out of space and then they're traveling and then they hit you and then all of a sudden you feel love because of these words, this thing I did to you. No, what happens is I say I love you, and then you hear that, and then your brain and your subconscious and your whole nervous system creates a story or creates a feeling based off of what I said. And that is a huge key, guys. If you're listening, listen to what I just said. I cannot make you feel anything. I can't offend you. If I were to tell you to screw off, go to hell, right? That doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. Those are just words. What happens is you hear that, and then you create this story, you create this feeling, you create this thing in your nervous system that says, oh, this person doesn't like me, they said this, or this person's mean, this person's hateful, or this whatever, they're trying to hurt me, they're trying to do something to me, they're trying to reject me. That was one of the biggest, most liberating, freeing realizations in my life, realizing that, Cameron, you could kick me in the nuts right now, and I get to decide how I feel about that. I mean, obviously
I
I'm
don't
going
know
to
how
feel some,
true that is.
obviously no, but obviously I'm going to feel some pain in my groin physically, right? But I'm talking about emotionally and intellectually, the story that I create on what that means, why you kicked me in the nuts, what your whole ulterior motive was, what the whole deal was. I create that in my head. That's my completely my perception. And so, bam, that's how you adapt to unexpected situations. You create space between what happens and what you're going to do about it.
Cool. So, I guess you know what I want to ask here is, well, I'm not asking. I'm like asking people to ask people in the comments, man. If you have any situation or something going on in your life that you want to ask about, like, go ahead, ask us in the comments, and it really helps us because to keep the conversation going, man. We could talk for hours. We can go on about something, but if you guys have any personal questions, let us know.
Yeah, the best format that we like to do is the Q&A. Like 100% is when you have questions and we could answer them. That's the easiest way for us to come up with topic ideas. It's the easiest way for us to, express ourselves, because then we know exactly what you're looking for. We know exactly what you want.
Dude, the thing I love also, like, in almost every topic we've ever talked about, I love the law. It's not really a law. It's just like the idea of contrast. You know what I mean? Like, people are afraid of public speaking, right? Like, apparently that's like a big fear list or whatever. Honestly, man, if I really think about it, like, public speaking is scary, right? Even when I was in high school, it was so scary. But if you think about something worse, like getting stabbed, like, yeah, I'll get on stage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to think of the contrast, because so many people, like, they're they're afraid of things that aren't really that bad, but we make them that bad in our mind. You know, like, if you just think of what's the worst that could happen, like, pessimistically, like, what is the worst that could happen, you realize how good you have it and how little this unexpected situation actually is. Do you have any
That's a
example of
good
that,
point.
bro?
Asking what's the worst that can happen. You
Wait,
know,
like, when something
you
happens
could
to
use
you, you
you could use
think
the
of what's, like, when something happens to you, you think about what could be the worst possible thing that could have happened to me that didn't happen. And
yeah,
that gives you a little bit more contrast, like the idea of, oh, you think you're starving, like, look at the people across the world who can't have dinner tonight. That kind of contrast.
man, you said that just as someone on Periscope told me she was hungry.
Really?
You say you're hungry. Nothing. Yeah, it's a great point, man. And you could use this in like public speaking terms too. Like, when I went and did my TEDx talk, I was nervous at first, totally, because you go up there and you start to think, oh no, like, you're just automatically afraid. I'm not sure what it comes from or where that exactly comes from, but I know 70% of people in our society are afraid of public speaking. They're afraid to get on stage and talk or to sing or to dance or to do something. Um, and that's a really important distinction to know. Um, and I guess asking what's the worst that could happen is it's huge, because think about it, man. I'm about to get on stage to do a TED talk, and I'm about to speak in front of a room full of amazing people who are open to learn, they're open to listening, they want to hear what I have to say. What's the worst that could happen? Well, if you start to think about it, it's like, well, the worst that could happen is I could just, like, maybe faint, and then I don't say anything, and then everybody feels bad for me, and then nobody really judges me on it because it sucks. I fainted, right? That's probably the worst that could happen. That, or like, I don't know, I just, like, my clothes disappear out of nowhere, and then I'm naked on stage, and everybody else has got clothes. Right?
You
And
know
he's
what,
just
man?
when you start to ask what's the worst that can happen, it starts to sound ridiculous, and then you're like, wait a minute, that is stupid. Why would I? It's funny what our unconscious fears really are.
Dude, that's a way of looking at it, but the way I look at it is because, like, we both think very differently. The way I look at it is anytime
Yeah.
I want to feel grateful, I think about all the things that could go wrong, and then I realize that they haven't gone wrong, and my life is really good. You know, I meant, like, when you're about to go up on stage, I don't want you to think about what's the worst that could happen on stage. I mean, in your life, like, what's the worst that could happen in your life that hasn't happened? and how awesome today
Yeah,
is. The
yeah.
fact that you're alive, the fact that you're healthy, the fact that you're not crippled, the fact that you could walk up on stage and you're not being lifted up on stage, the fact that you can see with your eyes, you can see the stairs and you can walk up on stage that way. Things like that, man.
Yeah.
The
And what
point,
I was getting at, oh, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
it's basically gratitude. That's what I mean. Like
Yeah,
being
yeah.
extremely grateful in whatever way. For me, it's like I have to reach pain. Like I have to find what's painful and realize it hasn't happened, and then that's what gratitude is for me.
All right. She's saying the girl on Periscope who is hungry is now saying she's got a granola bar. She's good. And Cameron, keep preaching. You're doing great.
Thank you for the update.
But I know what you're saying, man. What I was getting at was, I read this in a book called "How to Stop Worrying and Start Living." It's by Dale Carnegie. I think it was written in like the 30s or the 40s or something like that. Great book, absolutely amazing book. And it talks about that as one of the first thing the book mentions is if you're going to go into some sort of situation and you're afraid of anything that could happen, and you're afraid of an unexpected situation, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And like I said in public speaking, if you could just think of all the worst things that could happen, and then you start to realize as you start to think about these things, they're really not that bad. It's really not. And your point's amazing too, Cam. Like, just think of the gratitude that you have for who you are. Like, you could be a lot worse. You could be, I mean, just the fact that you're watching this show on a phone or on a computer means that you are richer than 80% of the world, 70% of the world. It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, dude, like what gets me really happy about that, because you can sit there and say, yeah, I have a phone. Look at this thing. I'm so lucky to have a phone. Look at this. Like, I'm so grateful that I have a phone. But what gets me actually grateful is like thinking about what would happen in my life, how my parents would feel, how, you know, what I'd be able to do in life, like my freedom that I would have if I took this phone and shoved it to the ground, started stomping on it and broke it. Like, what would happen if I didn't have my phone anymore? And I want to feel that. And once I feel that, I'm like, holy hell, dude, like I am so blessed to have this thing. Like, I can listen to podcasts while I bike. I can Snapchat the people. I can go live on Periscope. I can do so many things with this phone. And the thing that just gets me to actually feel gratitude is just thinking about really like feeling the feeling that it would feel to like not have it. You know, like if my computer broke today, man, I would be screwed. This podcast would be screwed. You know what I mean? So I'm so grateful for this computer. Like, I wouldn't be able to live without it almost. I wouldn't be able to reach you guys without it, that's for sure. But no, that's just how I feel gratitude. I don't know. I think it's different for everyone, and everyone should kind of experiment and find what makes you extremely grateful. But for some reason, for me, it's pain. It's finding a really painful thought and realizing that that doesn't exist, and you are blessed.
Good point, man. Good point. Good point. So let's give people a recap when it comes to we got some new listeners on the show who didn't catch the earlier parts of the show. The whole episode has been about adapting to unexpected situations, whether it be an unexpected situation that you did to yourself, a mistake you made, a bad habit that you keep repeating, or if it's something from the outside world that has unexpectedly hit you, like somebody cut you off, or you got in a car accident, or you lost a family member, or something, or somebody smacks you in the face or kicks you in the groin. How do you react to that situation? And a few of the points we made were right off the bat is if it's something that happened to you, if something that you did to yourself, make sure that you realize it, make sure you feel the pain of what just happened, and then make sure you don't repeat the same mistake twice, right? If we're talking about your health and you've just been eating garbage foods or you've been drinking coffee or whatever it is, make sure you don't repeat coffee or alcohol or anything. Make sure you don't repeat that mistake twice. What other tips do we have, Cam, in terms of that?
I guess letting go of the past, being super present, and realizing that you can't go back in time and change these situations, change these unexpected situations. Like, you can't do it. And you can either cry about it or you can feel good about it. Everything in life everything in life has to do with how you feel up here, because there's been billionaires, people who are loved internationally, like all around the world, people who were just loved, but they commit suicide for some reason. Because it doesn't matter how good something is, you can always see the bad. But conversely, it doesn't matter how bad something is, you can always see the good. So which do you choose? It's all your choice at the end of the day. So make that choice.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So make the choice between what you're going to focus on. Allow yourself to have some space between what happens and how you react to what happens. We talked about the Wayne Dyer quote, how people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. That's an amazing quote. It makes so much sense in terms of how people treat you. Oftentimes, people treat you bad. They say something to you, and then you automatically assume what they mean by that, or you assume their intention, or somebody tells you I love you or I hate you, and you create this feeling within you that's just automatic. And we talked about how you can control that feeling, how if you create some space between what people say or what happens to you and how you react to it, it gives you an immense amount of power to say, this is what this really means to me. And you could create an empowering meaning, just like the Nazis, or not the Nazis, just like the Jews in the Nazi concentration camps. Some of them were able to survive simply because they had the perspective that, look, if I power through, if I push through, if I hold on, then I'm going to get immense amount of reward through this. I'll be able to survive. I'll be able to go share this message with people all around the world. I'll make sure that this never happens again. Right? They created an empowering meaning, and based on that, they were able to rise up and to, survive. Essentially, we talked about gratitude. If you're afraid of something, or if some sort of unexpected situation pops up and you don't know how to feel about it, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Right? Maybe if somebody cut me off in traffic, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe the worst that could have happened was we could have gotten into an actual car accident. And then you start to feel grateful for your car, for yourself, for that person, and their ability to drive. This is a very powerful point. And also asking yourself, if you're afraid of something, asking what's the worst that could happen, and realizing that all these fears you have that are really mostly unconscious, once you bring them to the surface and once you ask yourself, okay, what am I afraid of? What's the worst that could happen? You start to realize that those fears really aren't that bad anyways, and you could just power through them.
Totally. So, do you want to wrap it up?
I just did, buddy. I just gave you the whole thing.
By wrap it up, I mean like outro. I'm playing music. Outro. All right, the music is playing.
We gave you a quick wrap up. The music's playing. Me and Cam are jamming. And thanks for tuning in today. We're doing this show 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Catch us tomorrow for another awesome episode. Check out the podcast on iTunes, on our website, implicitentertainment.com. And subscribe.
No, one of the biggest things that you guys could do if you enjoyed this, man, take 60 seconds out of your day and go visit iTunes and give us a review on iTunes and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. That helps us more than anything. So, thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Lead your life.